So Ariane and I are keen to go live. I know that this is feeling a bit awkward and pushing us outside our comfort zones. But I think it's important for us to come on here together because we've obviously been in the process over the past week or so birthing quite an incredible idea and a project which is growing day by day into something that we never imagined. And the concept called realizing resilience is firmly alive and kicking. So we wanted to come on here today, and Ariane, I've dragged you on here so that we can do it together. But really just to share with you our story and share with you the inspiration behind what we're creating, because we feel so passionate about what we're about to put out into the world, and we feel it's important to capture the background to it. So before Ariane, I asked you to explain kind of what's been happening, I thought a nice part would be to tell our background story, how we came together, and we've probably got slightly different versions, so I'd love to hear yours as well. But we met around 3.5 years ago.
Yeah.
We met because you reached out on social media and said, we have a ton of mutuals, was the words that you used.
Yeah.
Would you be up for connecting, because I'm loving the work that you're putting out there. And at the time I'd just qualified, I think 6 months prior, as a coach. So I was beginning to put myself out there, feeling very awkward with that on social media. But you obviously connected to some of the content. And I think we'd been at a party many years before, but probably both can't remember it.
Sure.
So we had met probably, but like you said, none of us could remember that experience. And then
I have vague recollection that we met. I don't know how that landed with you, but it's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure we were at a party, and you're like, don't really remember that.
highly possible.
Yeah.
and then we agreed to meet up, and we had these. I remember meeting at the Edition Hotel, just off Tottenham Court Road in London, and within a matter of minutes we were deep into conversation around life, and I was probably speaking some quite foreign concepts and out there ideas about the world and the cosmos and consciousness, and sharing with you lots of stuff that a lot of people thought I was quite weird and crazy at the time. You seem to dig it.
I was digging it. I was confused, but I was like, okay, I trust this guy. He makes sense, but this stuff's really out there, but I'm going with it. I'm just going to go with it because he seems like a decent guy. He's genuine, I'm trusting. So.
And those conversations that we had were, I was going through this real transformative period in life. I'd changed career, but I was feeling driven by this much deeper purpose in me. This desire to help people on maths. I just never knew how to do it. So I think my excitement of meeting you was that either you were just being really polite and entertaining my chat, or I actually felt like you got it and you were excited about, some of these ideas that I was sharing. So, we connected at that time 3.5 years ago, and then we met up for several months, and then you kind of went missing for a while. And then the next thing I heard from you was probably about 18 months later, and forgive me if the timelines are wrong, you can explain them better than I can, but the next time I heard from you was an email saying thank you, and then giving me this whole overview to what had occurred since the last time we met, which included you going on a pilgrimage across India, Nepal, and then scaling Everest Base Camp, whilst chucking in your job basically to go on that crazy journey. So that's how we met, and I thought it was really important to share it because you came back into my life 18 months ago. 6 months ago, we then began working together. You helped me and my colleagues at Mindful Talent to help us, become better at spreading our message and our word to people about who we are and what it is that we do. And then the past 10 days, it's taken a sudden twist into a whole new direction. And yeah, I thought it was important to share that. But I'd love, Ariane, for you to share the backstory and then to tell everyone a little bit about what we're working on and how we need support and help as well.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for that, Ali. So I'll just add a bit of context to some of my goings on behind the scenes of what was happening when we were kind of engaging with each other. It's actually the initial kickoff point for me being like, wow, like these guys are doing something really interesting with Stuart Sandeman. And I was living in Amsterdam at the time, working for Nike at the European headquarters, and met up with Stuart and Co, who are, DJs, enjoy the kind of, house music scene that was Amsterdam Dance Event. And Stuart and I connected, and I was actually sober at this time, so I could remember everything. I'd been on a detox and not boozing, and so we had this really amazing conversation. He was telling me about everything that you guys were doing. So for a bit of context, Stuart is a founder of BreathPod, who an amazing organisation. He works with the power of the breath to basically help people with a range of topics, anxiety, and all these sorts of things. And Ali will be able to explain this better than I do. But it's quite a profound moment. I know Stuart was going through quite a lot of adversity at the time, and he was just explaining what you guys were doing and about Mindful Talent, this organisation. There was a seed there, I think, at that moment in time about what could it look like if we were to create a coaching academy and take the power of coaching out into the world. And so it really struck me. And it wasn't until it was quite some time after that, because it was in Amsterdam at the time, and then I was moved back to London for a new job, still with Nike at the time, and it just came to me like a bolt of light. I need to reach out to this guy, and subsequently you receive the message, and it was obviously, definitely, as we know, profound.
Instagram, wasn't it?
It was Instagram, yeah. Just hit them up on the DM, just like, yo, we got mutuals, we should connect. Obviously, I felt it was more powerful than I was willing to let on at that moment in time, because it was definitely like a bolt of like get in touch with this guy, So, and then I did, and then subsequently, like, you blew my mind with your concepts and kind of stretched my mind into thinking like, wow, I was quite happy with my current reality, and now nothing makes sense anymore. So, but it really triggered me on this journey, and it was a beautiful combination of so many things. Like at the time, I was in this amazing career path, job, and it was, at Nike, I was on this trajectory, future leader, all these sorts of things that just, my body was not keeping up, and my life was falling apart, and I'm like, what is going on? And so I proceeded to go through this like life dismantling process. I was in hospital. Everything was just like, it was a complete and utter burnout, but in the most beautiful way possible. And basically, long story short, I answered the call to go to Tibet on a whim. Didn't realize that you can't just go to Tibet. It's not the kind of place you go to, but by some force I ended up there pretty swiftly, and decided to surrender into the unknown. And that kind of took me in this mad pilgrimage through the Himalayas with a Sherpa to Everest Base Camp. It's a bonkers story. It was an amazing experience, but Ali, you were the seed for that. You planted something, and then so by the time I got back, I felt like such a changed person. It was so profound. And then I just had to reach out to let you know, like, hey, look what you created, man. Like, it's beautiful, it's cool. And then fast forward to this moment, and like Ali says, we're working together now, and it's been a really exciting time to be part of a team like Mindful Talent, who are just really committed individuals that are here, in service to people, in service to humanity. And just, the coaching academy and the work that we do there is, it's on the face of it, it might just seem like, another coaching academy, but really the foundation of what we're trying to do here is really impact people's lives and transform people's lives in a big way. So for me, the seed of this idea was planted over the past, I think it was, the start of April, obviously with the global situation, everything playing out. I'm actually based in northern Italy at the moment, so I'm in the hardest hit region of the that's been hit by the COVID virus. So I've kind of been, a bit ahead of time in terms of the rest of the world, to be able to kind of really filter what's needed right now, what's necessary right now. So I think by the time April came, and as a team we were collectively going through a lot of adversity at the time, but I started to kind of dwell on that and just start to think about how inspired I was, about how much everyone has this amazing ability to respond to these really difficult circumstances. And I started to think about it more, and I was like, well, actually, if you think about it, our team theme is resilience. As a group of people, we've been through so much in our lives, like so much struggle, so much adversity, but that's what makes us. Oh, hi, Adam. Adam is calling me. That's my boyfriend from
He's
outside.
must be ready.
That's hilarious. Is that coming up on your screen?
No, not at all.
I don't know, right? You can see it. Okay, that was weird. I just started getting a call coming up with my boyfriend just in the other room. He wasn't in this call. Highly responsible, Adam. Anyway, so I will continue. So, here again. Why is he calling that so random?
You told me before we came on this video he was making cookies for the first
He's
time.
making cookies. I know he wants to do this
already.
Yeah. I don't know why he's trying to call me. How weird. 1 second. I'm going to plug in my mouse. In fact, do you know what? I'm going to tell him. Do you want to stop calling me, buddy? Because this is Adam. Adam. Your phone's called all night.
So as you can see, this was very unplanned video. we decided on the hop to come on here and share this. So we're rolling with this working from home scenario.
He was locked outside. I must have shut the door and they're in the balcony. Oh well, here we go. This is real life.
I just said this is real life. This is working from home. I'm waiting for Rumi, my 4-year-old daughter, to burst through the door at any moment.
Exactly, we just got to roll with it. Oh, sorry, bless. The cookies nearly went up in flames, I would imagine.
But listen, the most important thing is we've saved the cookies.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, they smell delicious. Right, okay, so let's ground ourselves back at the moment. So essentially, as I was saying, I was starting to observe that this theme was resilience, and recognizing that at this moment in time, resilience is is an important thing for us all to be able to cultivate, but it's kind of like a mystical concept, I suppose, for some people. So I started to do a bit of digging, and I started to look on Google search to just see, what's the world searching for right now, and lo and behold, resilience was a term that was like up. A huge percentage. It's completely spiked. The world is currently searching for the meaning of resilience. And so I just thought to myself, like, well, what's a life of adversity not for, if it's not to share some of the wisdom that you've gleaned from the path of overcoming some of your challenges. So at that point, that's when I was like, boom, right, Ali, now is the time for us to think about differently about how we're approaching things. How can we step up and serve in a powerful way? And immediately I hit you with this idea, and you were like, yes, this is cool. I'm interested. Like, how do you do this? And full disclosure, initially it was a mindful talent campaign. That was what it was kind of born out of. It's like, okay, well, how can we support in that capacity, but through the lens of mindful talent? And eventually we just started to roll, and we were like, 15th of April, we got together as a team, and we were like, right, this feels like, actually, this could be something bigger than all of us, really. And what would it look like if there's a charitable aspect to it? And so by the time the 16th of April came, which is 9 days from...
To put into context, we're on the 25th now,
yeah.
We're watching this back, so 9 days ago.
Yeah, 9 days ago, we made the call. We were like, this is bigger than us. This is bigger than, mindful talent. This is us as individuals. This is about us having a seed of an idea to basically want to reach people and basically give them the tools and the tactics and some insight in terms of how we can cultivate resilience at this time, but how we can also share stories of resilience that are going to give people hope, because ultimately the fundamental is that we are all resilient. You don't get through life without being resilient, but sometimes we forget. And it's only when you've come through that moment of adversity that you can look back and go, oh yeah, I got through that. But in the moment of the crisis, you forget, and it all goes to shit. So I think that's what it was really born out of. And, vibing with Ali, we've basically, I'm going to pass over to him to give context to where it's kind of gone. It's grown arms and legs way quicker than we could have ever imagined. But I think the biggest message for us is like, when you're called to be of service in a way that's beyond you, things can happen in a rate that, it is not possible when you're trying to fit into small boxes of like the way things used to be. So everything's wide open, it's all to play for, and we're at quite an exciting place. And so I'll pass over to Ali to give a bit of context.
But I think the timeline, you know, when you talked about the 15th, Ariane, and we had that team meeting on the 16th when we reconnected, I think you and I have both had the realization overnight that this was way bigger than what we first anticipated. And I think, you know, when I started sitting in meditation and sitting in my own space, I started thinking about the various different struggles that people are going through right now. You know, everything from mental health challenges to grief, you know, on a scale that, you know, is unimaginable on a global scale at the moment, to, you know, abuse, to suffering and psychological suffering in so many different ways, to homelessness, to unemployment, to, and I started, you know, almost in quite an overwhelmed way, started thinking about, you know, how much pain people are going through. And we've experienced it with close friends ourselves, you know, who've been ill from COVID. You mentioned, you know, before we came on this call, about a Facebook post that I put out in our tribe. We'd lost a very close friend the day before we launched our current courses that are running, who was one of our mentors, who was part of our business. And I suddenly started thinking about, wow, even in my own very limited perspective of this experience that's going on, we felt pain over the last 3 weeks. You know, we've suffered, we've psychologically suffered, we felt anxiety, we felt fear. And that's when I started thinking, wow, this is way bigger than, you know, a marketing campaign. It's a movement. We started saying, this is a movement. How can we help people? How can we, in that moment of adversity and in that moment of crisis, can we help remind people that they have this inner resilience? Everyone has it, you know, and when you're in it, you forget that. You do forget that you've got this incredible reservoir, this innate resilience that resides within all of us. And I thought, how amazing could this be, or will this be, when we help people remember that in themselves? And not only that, but to help people feel like they're not alone, that they're, although they're in isolation, they don't have to be isolated or disconnected. You know, we can create this community, this movement on a global scale. So that's when I started getting really excited. We came back together on, you know, the 16th, 17th, and we were both in that same vibe. And, you know, to give a kind of order of events since then, and I'll try and remember everything, Ariane, because it has been, you know, almost quite magical and mystical about how it's happened. But on the 17th, I think it was, of April, so, you know, 8 days ago, you and I had a conversation. You said we could really do with some creatives, you know, a team to back us. And someone came to mind for me in the moment, and they'd actually crossed my mind the night before in meditation. And I got excited and I told you, and we reached out to them, and within an hour, they came back to us and said they were in. And it's an incredible team of people, team of creative individuals at a company called Accept and Proceed, who I had personal relationships with. The CEO, an incredible human being called David, and they just came back to us and said, we're in, we're going to back you guys with this, you know. And all of a sudden I'm sharing with you their work, and you're saying, wow, these guys are like gold. This is amazing. You know, a day on from that, we're having a briefing call with them, or 2 days on from that, we're having a briefing call to talk about this. We've then thought about how we can execute this, who can help us. We've started reaching out to friends who are experts and influencers, and also to strangers who don't even know us. Dr. Lucy Hone being one of them, who I watched her TED talk after you watched it on resilience, and it just cut through every part of me. And I was in tears watching the TED talk, but I was also so inspired, and I thought, we need to speak to this incredible human being. And we reached out, and within 24 hours, of course, I'm on a Zoom call with Lucy, who's going to be one of our first experts that we can interview. And so all of this began happening, and suddenly it was real. We were like, okay, this is happening. Yeah. And then, of course, 2 days ago, the 22nd of April, we get a call from a close friend, someone who'd studied with us at our academy, who runs an outdoor advertising agency, an amazing human being called Jerry. And he says in a WhatsApp message, Alister, I think I've got a free national outdoor billboard advertising campaign for you. Can you call me? I'm like, right. So I phoned Jerry, and right enough, he says, you know, I've got a national campaign that I can gift for you for free through my contacts, a company at Ocean Outdoor. Again, I never knew of Ocean Outdoor until Jerry's WhatsApp 2 days ago. And then yesterday they give us news that they're giving us £120,000 worth of free advertising on a national level on outdoor advertising boards. And you and I were like,
what have we done?
it was
And then to be clear,
actually,
that's 104 digital screens across the United Kingdom. 104, Leicester Square included, in London. And, you know, it was the kind of coverage that, you know, at Nike, you'd be really happy with as a brand. You'd be like, yes, this is great coverage. The campaign's going to be awesome. So it was a real moment of like, oh wow, this is really taken us somewhere that we could, our limited minds initially couldn't have probably even guessed at the time, you know. And it was, yeah, that was quite a moment. I was in shock. I couldn't even respond to the email. It's like, oh wow.
I'd love to at some point for us to collect all the voice notes we've left to one another and at some point release that, because I think one from you yesterday was, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, have you seen the list that Jerry just sent us? And I think, you know, even though you and I trust and surrender to the belief that we are supported and guided through this experience, I think there's even been times when you and I have been kind of pinching ourselves and saying, how is this happening? You know,
Yeah.
Jerry had no idea we were putting this campaign together, none at all.
Yeah.
As in, very few people do, right? My sister only found out yesterday. My parents don't even
No, exactly.
Jerry never knew, and he reached out, and then I had a call with them straight away. And next thing you know, we've got this incredible opportunity. And obviously, Ariane, the work you've done the last week has been, I mean, outstanding, and people are going through this birth into the world, you know, and I get, you know, I have the privilege of seeing you in action on a daily basis, but I think even, you know, when we briefed Accept and Proceed, they're like, what, you've turned this round in like 72 hours, and you're like, more like 24.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. That's that's really nice to have that, you know, the gratitude and the space for you to kind of acknowledge that. But I would say, you know, like, you're only as strong as your team, and without being able to vibe off someone like you who's shown up to, you know, help me to expand and to be able to believe in this is possible, you know, like the work doesn't come, so you need people, you know. And like also at this moment, you know, to shout out to our beloved partners who, you know, we run at such a rate because we're just like, we need to serve, we need to give back. And like our, you know, Adam, who you just heard some dialogue with there, and Adam, Ali has Ilaria, who's an unbelievable human being, and we just as a four have a you know, a really beautiful relationship, although we haven't actually been in physical, like as the two couples been in the same space at the same time, classic social distancing scenario. But you know, the mutual love and respect that we all have for each other is strong. Adam's actually studying with the coaching caddy at the moment, so he's on that journey, which is beautiful to watch. But I suppose the point is that, you know, like, nobody ever works in isolation. You need people around you to be able to do great work and to be able to deliver. And so that's my respect and love coming back for you for just being on the journey. And equally, you know, you from the get-go, you've just been on it, and you've been running and just making stuff happen and connecting with people. And, you know, we've got, and I don't know if we're able to say at this stage, but the interest that we have from some really big corporate companies who have the potential to take this catastrophic is huge. And you've been doing so much groundwork there. So this is complete team and mutual love and respect for one another. So yeah.
Well, no, thank you for sharing, Ari. And it's, you know, it's worth mentioning Michelle and Remy at the Academy who are just holding the fort.
Oh man, yeah.
Making
but
sure
this is an ode to them as well, and that's what I want this to be. Like, this is about, I originally started as an ode to the team, a team of people that are just, you know, good-hearted humans, but we've been through a lot. You know, we've all been collectively and individually been through a lot, and so it started there, and those people are just, they're diamonds, and they're very special to all of us. So I think it goes to, important to recognise that. So thank you for
well, you know, I think it's a nice segue as well into, you know, what the actual campaign is, because people are probably thinking, what is Realise?
What is actually
but you know, the idea has evolved into, I suppose, the main themes at the moment are, you know, our aim is or our intention is to impact 1 million people, you know, empowering them to realize the resilience within. And whilst doing that, you know, to raise hopefully a huge amount of money for, you know, charities and those who are, you know, at biggest risk or most vulnerable at this time as well. And we're obviously going through the process at the moment to identify different partners that can help us with that. And our mind is evolving, you know, on a daily basis to say, how can we make this a sustainable, you know, model, a sustainable way of impacting people, not only through this global pandemic, but then beyond that, how can we equip and give people these resources that will, arguably help them throughout many points in life. Adversity is something that everyone is hit by in so many different ways, shapes and forms throughout life. And so the theme of resilience is something that if we recognize that it's in there, and then we have this inner knowing, right, that it's something that's always on tap, that we know next time when adversity strikes that we're going to be better placed, we're going to be better prepared, we're going to be better equipped to then overcome those obstacles and those challenges, and not just kind of, survive through it, but also thrive through it. Recognize that through those darkest moments in life, right, those moments where our will and our soul gets truly tested, that we can also come through it and see the gifts that gave us, come through that experience and see how it's helped us connect on a deeper level to who we really are, that inner strength that we have, that courage, and also how we can feel connected to those around us in a much more profound way. So, I think it's this idea of, intentionally impacting 1 million people plus, I think that is going to be multiplied many times over, because the ripple effect from this campaign is what's really exciting me. Sorry, Ariane.
Oh no, I was just about to explain sort of like tangibly, so that's the big goal and the big vision that we have on a more tangible level. How we hope to sort of deliver that is that we basically want to curate the tools and the information, and serve almost like useful, valuable information that's going to help people to realize the resilience within. And so there's practices that you can do, and Ali's really well versed in, and you can maybe explain a bit about this, working with individuals and organizations around things like breath work, mindfulness, all of these things, practices that help people to cultivate resilience. And it's maybe, right now I feel like this information it's a privilege if you have this information, it's a privilege if you have time to put this stuff into practice. But I suppose the point is, at this moment in time, everyone is forced to have time in their hands. So my ultimate goal would be, I'd love for this information that's, that we've had so much benefit from in our life to start trickling down to the people that really need it the most. I think that's one of the goals that we kind of hold dear. But what that would essentially look like is we want to create a platform where there'll be like a curated information and edited information that people you can engage with, that will basically be like on a needs basis. So my plan is to curate the information like, I feel anxious. Okay, well, here's the content or the tools or the things that you might need or explore at this moment in time to help you overcome that. It's like, I feel fear. Okay, well, what would it look like if we were to, share Tim Ferriss's amazing tool where he basically does this awesome fear setting exercise, and that helps people. So I think, between us and collectively and all the people that are involved in this, so we all have this wealth of wisdom and knowledge and content and go-to resources that have helped us through our hardest times. What would it look like if we were to create that and edit that into really valuable, useful information, a place where people can go without having to wade through fear-inducing death tolls and all these things that are really not good for our mental health if we're engaging engaging with that regularly. It's a safe space for people to show up and be provided with everything they'll need to cultivate resilience. And then supplementary to that, what Ali's going to do, and I'll hand over to you to explain it at this point, Ali, but like, we want to create content that Ali will lead with a range of really exciting and diverse individuals to basically further serve the mission of educating and I suppose inspiring, and more than anything, just having fun and giving people hope that, we're going to come out of this so much stronger in such a beautiful world. It's really an exciting time if you could take the time to realise it, I suppose.
Absolutely, Ariane. And so I love how you just named Tim Ferriss here. Tim, if you're watching, we'd love for you to come and feature. We're both huge fans. Ariane's such a fan that she has a great photo of when she scaled Everest Base Camp with your name on a sign because she loves you so much. The book, The 4-Hour Work Week, changed my life, literally. And we would love for you to come on here, Tim. We know that you've got an incredible story of resilience that would empower many. And, that moves us into the theme. You know, some of the content, the way that we are going to curate it is around this theme of stories of resilience. You know, we are huge believers that storytelling can help provide hope, as Ariane mentioned, but also insights and inspiration as to how to overcome adversity. So we're going with a theme called Stories of Resilience, where I'll interview many different people, asking them to share their own experience of resilience, of how they came through those moments of adversity, and what approaches or strategies helped them in that moment where they were feeling the darkness, you know, take over. So Stories of Resilience is one key part. We'll also then ask a number of experts and individuals who are, you know, equipped and trained to help others develop that resilience, to realize that resilience within themselves. And we'll be using those experts and individuals to create very short 10-minute videos that can be used as an opportunity to educate, an opportunity to share, you know, all of those strategies and approaches that they've developed over time. And then the third part is, you know, we're going to get hopefully a community of, you know, every day normal individuals, people who have been through challenges, been through different, you know, hardships in life, and to share their stories of resilience. And, you know, through the medium that we create in terms of the landing pages and Instagram account, we're going to show these stories, we're going to share them so that, again, you know, everyone has access to this piece of content which could inspire them in a moment when they really need it. So these are our strategies at the moment. We are reaching out to many different people. And I suppose, you know, this is a bit of a call out as well. Like I said, I've just named Tim Ferriss, but we would love to feature anyone who's come through, you know, hardships in life, who also has the experience of being able to share that and educate and empower others to realize that resilience within themselves. So, you know, if this resonates with you, this video, if our story resonates with you, then reach out. And if you think you can help us, whether that's simply sharing this message, getting people on board, sharing it with loved ones who may need it right now, then, you know, you could help us a huge amount by simply doing that, sharing the content. And, you know, let's create this movement. And who knows where it's going to take us, but we have no doubt that it's going to create something pretty special and unique and serve people in a moment when they really need it.
Awesome. I have nothing to add to that, Ali, but yeah, I thank you for taking the time. If you sat with us and, you know, to speak about our stories. And yeah, I really feel like now is the time for us to think a bit differently about how we want to lead our lives. You know, it's a really great opportunity if we can only choose to have the mindset to see it that way. And yeah, I'm just so thankful to be able to, you know, be here and yeah, in this privileged position to be able to, you know, serve. So thanks, Ali.
Amazing, Ariane. Thank you. I'm dying to find out how the cookies are. I hope they're not.
I know. Cookies. Can you believe it?
Listen, thank you everyone for listening to our story. We look forward to, you know, sending this message out far and wide. And like I said, if you feel you can help in any way or spread the message, or if you know Tim Ferriss or anyone else who has, you know, this expert advice, but also stories of resilience to share, then please reach out. Thank you, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.